Höckelhoven is sited between Mönchengladbach and Aix-la-Chapelle. The Kaphof farm, where Omnec Onec lives a few months a year, is laid a little bit outside the village. On the balcony, the star-spangled banner seems to announce her presence, but this leads to a wrong conclusion because banner and balcony belong to her friend Friedhelm Kötter. Dear Omnec, the official version of the life circumstances on Venus tells us that Venus is an extremely hot, hell-like planet. The average temperature there is 400 degrees Celsius, according to 740 degrees Kelvin, so there is no way for life on the material level. Besides the heat, even the duration of the rotation, which is relevant for the length of the days, is an argument against this. A Venus day is only 243 days on Earth, and so it is lasting even longer than a Venus year, which is lasting 224 Earth days. I think you must explain this to our viewers, because these are the results the official media tell us.
Well, the physical Venus is not where I live. I know it's too hot for human life, we lived on another dimension that runs parallel to the physical. Mm-hmm. And we have a stage, or a city. There's a special temple that absolutely exists on the physical as well as the other dimension. And through this temple, we're able to manifest a physical body, lower the vibrations and manifest a physical body. And so I didn't live in the physical of Venus, of course. It's impossible. Uh-huh. But when it was a physical planet, Venus was very much similar to the desert areas here on your Earth, like the Sahara deserts. Very dry, very hot, not much plant life. So it was a little different in the physical. I didn't live in the physical, so I don't remember.
Okay. So it is the astral plane on Venus.
Right.
Is there any day and night rhythm on Venus?
Not really.
Not really?
No. Because it's not a physical world, and the conditions are not created by God or nature. This dimension, is actually, the support comes from the individuals themselves that live there. And if they wish a night and a day, then they can make it over their own environment.
Do these people have a need for sleep?
No. Now, when I first came to Earth, I had trouble with sleeping because I didn't understand that your body had to sleep and rest because I wasn't used to the physical body. And it was very difficult for me. And I had to have the experience of staying awake for so many hours and realizing that I couldn't concentrate and I'd fall asleep without even knowing it. And I had to have this experience to know that the physical body needs much care, and you have to take care that it gets enough rest and nourishment, because we don't eat on Venus either.
Aber Phasen der Ruhe, der Abschaltung, wo man mal für eine Stunde oder so oder für eine längere Zeit...
But phases of rest, where you achieve a sleep-like status, is there such?
We do meditate, We take our quiet times to regenerate ourselves and balance our concentration.
So you meditate instead of sleeping?
I guess you could say. I don't know, really. It's just, it's beneficial, I think, for every human being, whether they're in the physical or not, to have a period where their body can regenerate and they can collect their concentration again.
How works communication on Venus?
We use a form of mental telepathy.
Das ist Telepathie.
Yeah.
Übermittelt man trotzdem reine Gedankenmuster?
Do you transmit pure thought samples, or is it more a kind of an inner dialogue which you transfer to other people?
Well, it used to be the communication for all people in the physical universe as well. But the way the Earth has developed, the people have lost the ability to have this ability anymore. And but there it's actually a learning process. Yeah, the communication is not much different than on the Earth. On the Earth, you got to go learn the language. You got to learn the process of how the language and the grammar works together. When you learn telepathic, it's not just you can do it automatically. You have to know that there are certain thought forms, and these thought forms can be transferred to the other person. There has to be an order in everything that exists in the universe. You can't just communicate with someone without some kind of order and process that you have to study and learn. So it's not so simple.
I still wanted to ask you a question about the way you feed yourself on Venus. Some things which I have read in your book talk about a festivity at which a sucking pig was served to the people there. And this presupposes that sometimes someone has slaughtered an animal. You know what I mean, a sucking pig? You named it in your book on page 99 as a table decoration for a festivity. And there was also another thing from your childhood on Venus, within the early years of a bird in a golden cage.
A bird in a golden cage, you know?
Yeah. Well, we manifest these things. These are not real animals.
Aha.
You have to realize on Venus we don't have animals.
Das ist ganz wichtig.
This is important to show that people on Venus don't handle animals the way like we do here on Earth.
No, of course not. We manifest. We can manifest a pet.
Okay.
But it's like, okay, the soul volunteers to come and inhabit that body when we create it for a pet or something. There is no soul invited if you're making a pig. It's just a duplicate of the physical. For a party or festive, that's only for the benefit of an earth person, that they can feel comfortable at the banquet, and that they're not judged for eating meat. They're not judged for eating anything. Everything that you eat is your free will, and we decided that we have no right to make a decision for other people, whether it's right or wrong.
Is there any necessity to eat something at all? There is this woman named Jasmuheen. She propagates Lightfoot here on Earth.
I know, but that's her mission, that's her choice, that's what she does. It's not for me.
Okay, but how is it on Venus with that? Do you eat any physical food?
No. We absorb energy, and that's the way we survive. We don't have a physical body. We have no need for eating. We don't live in the physical world. So we can absorb the energy from the dimension in which we live. And people on Earth have this energy also flowing through their systems, through the different chakras in the body. So it's no different. The life force and the energy source comes from God. And it flows through every dimension into the physical. And on the astral, because we're a little bit more higher consciousness and higher developed than the people in the physical, we have the ability to take of this energy what we need. And we use this energy, to create our surroundings, our houses, the beautiful things that we desire to have around us. And even children, can manifest clothes for themselves, like a butterfly or a bird or trees and stuff. This is only beauty, and this is only things that we need. We use this energy. And in the physical, I'm teaching people in the workshops how to use this energy and direct it for healing and for I don't know what you call it, the world that we live in. We've done so much damage here in the physical. And I'm teaching people that you can use this energy in the form of your thinking to recreate the earth like it should be. But they have to do it in a group because on the earth, people are not so used to using this energy and focusing it. And that's what I do in the workshops. I'm telling people you have the power because what you think manifests. Even on earth, it takes more of a time. It's like we wouldn't have computers, we wouldn't have automobiles, we wouldn't have houses, we wouldn't have anything in this world if people didn't think it first. It has to be a thought first, and then eventually it becomes a material thing.
So everything exists first on a mental plane?
Exactly. Because the thoughts are the energy that God gave us to create the things that we need in the physical world.
What is it about the animals on Venus? Do they exist only as manifestations of the mind, or is there also an animal life on Venus in a similar form like it exists here on Earth?
No. If I said, if you manifest an animal for a pet, then we have to ask a soul that is in that stage of development, that's only going to be an animal in the physical anyway, if they will wish to inhabit this pet that we created there. It has to be, you can't do it without the permission of the soul. Because the soul is created from God, and the soul will exist in the physical and the animal form as long as it needs for this learning process. And then when this learning process is over, it goes back to the higher dimensions, and it comes back in the physical to manifest what it needs for its next learning process. And so long as this soul is in the other dimension, waiting to come back into the physical as an animal, then we can ask the soul, would you come on a dimension with me and be my pet? And the soul can say yes or no. There's many, many souls, so we have to decide. The soul has to decide.
Das heißt, diese so geschaffenen Tiere sind dann sicherlich auch nicht...
And these animals are unable to reproduce?
No. No, the animals on Earth choose to come into this world for a temporary life, and their lifespan depends on what purpose they serve in the physical. Are they going to be a pet? Are they going to be food? Are they going to be a free animal? There's so many steps of animals that they have to be, the soul has to go through before it can become free from that cycle. Excuse me.
Kein Problem.
It's very complicated, but this book I gave you explains more of everything. And in the workshops I explain where that God exists in relation to the physical world, how we became souls, how we came into the physical world, how we exist here. The whole workshop is a long process, but it's very necessary for human beings to have a concept and understanding of what they really are, not just a person. And everything that's living is not just a plant or an animal, it's a part of God's creation and a process that's very complicated, but and it's very important that the people have an understanding of these different life forms.
Many names like Teutonia or even Odin. Perhaps you know Frank Strange's, who also had a guest named Valiant Thor.
Yeah.
Here we have the name
Like Torsten or so.
of the god Thor. All this reminds of the Germanic mythology.
Yeah.
Are there any connections to the German, the Scandinavian, or to this mythological world? Yes?
Of course.
Ja.
You have to realize that the people on other planets existed before the Earth existed, and before the people on Earth existed. And the German and the Scandinavian, the Swedish, all of those races of people their forefathers were the people on Venus originally, before they even inhabited the Earth or colonized here.
Wir hatten es vorher mal im Vorfeld diskutiert.
My companion and I, we still had discussed it just now, and he also thought there would be a relationship between these names. Odin is deducted from Aton, and this from Adonis, and then we come from Adonis to Adonai. Are these only accidental coincidences, or, in the end, is it always the same person which is meant?
No. No, my uncle Odin is from an ancient Venusian family, and when we work in the physical world, we choose a name that starts with O, because the O is a complete circle, and each one of us that work spiritually have completed a circle of our physical lives and now can choose to work here or not. And so our names begin with the O because it has a certain energy and a certain effect on people. And so this is a spiritually ordained name that when you work in the physical and you're from Venus, you must choose a name that starts with the O. This is from our specific Venusian family, not the other Venusians. I can't speak for them. But apparently, Valiant Thor came from the center of Venus, not from the surface or the dimension where I came from, because there's people that live in the central of Venus as well as the Earth. And that's the whole thing. Every planet is hollow inside. It's really for the support of the planet that the energy flows around and through the planet to give it its support so that the planet can stay in its orbit around the sun and everything. There's an energy flow through the universe that supports and maintains every planet that is in the physical world. And like I said, it's very complicated. I don't know everything, but I have learned a lot of things. I've lived on Earth. My uncle has given me information. Eberhard has information. And so I can do a research and learn more as I live here. Because people ask questions, I don't know everything. I'm not a scientist. I live here on the Earth, and I have a specific mission, and my mission is to give back information and knowledge that was lost to the people on the Earth, and to make them realize that their connection to the other people in this solar system on the planets is actually their heritage, because these people were the first people in this solar system of the human form, and the white, yellow, red, and black, all the people on Earth came from these 4 races that lived on the 4 planets older than the Earth, before the Earth was even a planet or even could support life. So this is my mission. My mission is to make that connection and then to give as much spiritual information and understanding about the concept of God and the soul and the essence of human life and physical life, so that people can understand. It's a big mission, but I'm doing the best I can.
You just gave me just 2 wonderful connection points. One is this with the hollow Earth. Of course, I know this theory, many will know. The problem which I have with this is the following. There is also volcanism here on Earth.
Volcanism.
Oh, volcanoes?
Volcanoes, of course. Yeah.
And these volcanoes are fed by the inner Earth anyway. So I wonder, where do the magma and the lava come from if the Earth is hollow?
The process of the Earth, because the core of the Earth is very hot. They call it the inner sun. But that is just the way the planets are physically created. And these volcanoes, so to say, let off some of this energy when there's a buildup of the steam and the pressure within the Earth, and they have to escape somewhere. It's a natural process. And when they erupt, people should have warning and should know that this is very dangerous, but you can't close them down or stop them, because then you would mess up the whole balance of the planet. On every planet, you'll see that they have been earthquakes on other planets as well, because it's a natural process.
The pressure must out somewhere.
It's like steam to escape, When you have a teapot, you have to have a hole, or it explodes. And when you're cooking food under pressure, and you don't release it very slowly, then it explodes all over the ceiling. It's just the physical, the way things work in the physical.
Ich verstehe, was Sie meinen.
Well, this is the point. If the Earth is hollow, there cannot be any liquid core at all, because the Earth is hollow. And a hollow body contains nothing. I could imagine, however, that the Earth has this hot core on the physical level, but not on the astral level. This doesn't seem to be a contradiction to me. Could it be so?
Kann das so sein?
Yeah, everything that exists in the physical world also exists on the astral. There is like a parallel dimension to the physical. And so the astral dimension is just as vast as the physical universes and solar systems.
Uh-huh.
It's not limited to a certain place.
Uh-huh.
Because when God created everything, everything is without end, and everything is always in repetition, so in continuum, so that it exists forever.
Mhm.
And so when you go in the astral, there is many levels even on the astral. It's so complicated that
Yeah.
it would take a lot of study
Yeah.
to understand all the different levels. There's lower astral,
Uh-huh.
which contains some of the entities and ghosts and demons that you hear about in scary movies and stories. But these are real entities that don't have a body anymore, and they lurk there on that dimension, waiting for a chance to get into the physical when they're invited by black magic and different things that people don't even know, and they play with this stuff and they think it's fascinating, and they don't realize the dangers that they're putting Earth and the people here, because they're inviting these demons and entities into the physical world. And when they're invited through seances, trying to communicate with them using ancient rituals of black magic and voodoo, whatever, they open up a chance for these entities to come in, even through themselves. They invite them, you know? And this is the problem. They get possessed, and there's so many things and dangers that people, if they realize it, they wouldn't do. And we have a hard time. The Venusians, the other people in the other dimensions, like the Ascended Masters, the people who no longer have to live in the physical, have a difficult time trying to protect the Earth and the people from this kind of stuff, you know?
Uh-huh.
Because the people have no awareness of what they're doing sometimes.
Are there several astral planes even on Venus?
Ebenen des Astralen gibt?
Yeah, of course.
Auch, ne?
It's our basic knowledge, you
Yeah.
know? We learn the whole knowledge of the physical universe, of God, of ourselves as a soul, it's of ourselves when we were in the physical, and the whole way that the development of the Earth has taken place. And the Earth is a very special planet. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here trying to save this Earth and the people.
What makes Earth so special?
Because there's so many different life forms and physical beings living here from different generations, and we have brought life forms through many centuries before the planet was finished. We were bringing whales and dolphins and different plants and minerals to put on the Earth, because we were creating a beautiful paradise with many diverse lifestyles that work together in harmony to balance and keep this Earth very beautiful, including all the different races of people. And it's a whole process so that the Earth can stay beautiful like it was. And so we don't want to see any destruction on the Earth, because not only is it part of God's creation, but it has a lot to do with efforts of thousands and millions of years, our people too, and other people on the Earth, you know, have done a lot to make this Earth what it is. So we wish to keep it this way, and eventually return it to its original state of beauty and paradise, you know.
This would be nice.
And we're having a hard time with the technology and stuff that's developing on Earth, and the people's consciousness haven't developed with the technology. So of course there's wars and there's imbalance, and and we have to deal with all this. And we're teaching people how to help us on Earth, you know, with their consciousness, with their awareness, by using their energy and doing meditations and focusing on healing this Earth. It's a big process.
I think it is important for the people to invest their energy into the right matter. At the moment, any energy is invested into the economy, and over taxes and all this, even the parasites are fed.
This is the the whole transformation process of the Earth is a big process that started, my goodness, before probably you were born. We started putting into action this process of the transformation of the Earth to return the Earth to its natural state. And we had many meetings in different solar systems with the angels, the non-physical beings, and then with the physical beings that live in this physical universe that we exist in here, and even beings that are in other universes and systems are joining us to to help with this transformation of the earth. So it's not an easy process, and it's been going on for a very long time. And I'm just a small piece of it, you know. And I've been very fortunate that because I do everything I can, not for myself, not to be rich or anything, but for people. And if I get money, then the money goes to whoever needs it around me, to the house here, to the people, to my children, because I don't care about money. Money is not going to be here. When I leave this earth, the money's going to stay.
Of course.
And I think that the money system and the political system also is a problem for the development of the people on earth. But I can't speak about that because that is not what I'm in. I'm not into the political aspect, and makes no difference to me because I don't vote. I don't support it. I don't support anything that breaks people apart and divides people. I'm all for pulling people together as a human race, no matter what color, for the benefit of this earth and the place that they live, and for the future and the benefit of the human beings, of their spiritual development as well.
Im allerersten Buch von Ihnen wird
In your first book, you wrote something about the situation of the colored people here on Earth.
Es wird angedeutet, dass es auch im Kosmos,
even in the cosmos, there seem to be colored races existing there, and there are great differences.
Well, they're very special, like every human being, you know, every human race. The forefathers of the black people on Earth also are doing their part on the Earth to educate and reach their people. And they've come on Earth for millions of years, and they continue to do so. But they can't live here for a very long period. So, you know, throughout history, you've got so many, in history, black people that had inspirations, and like Martin Luther King in America. He was also a preacher, you know, and a spiritual man. And he made this big movement in America for the black people because he knew that that was his mission, is to bring the white race and the black race in America to work together. And he did his part, and he died in the process, of course. And I knew he was going to die. I told my husband, when he goes to Alabama, he'll die there, because I knew it. And I said, because the whole American black people and white people are not at the point yet for this information. And it usually creates violence. And the reactions are always very negative at first, because it takes a while for people to understand and accept, you know, the changes that are taking place in our societies on Earth. And it's always turmoil, and people are injured and even die, you know, not just the leader like Martin Luther King, but other beings, because the aggression is instilled in them toward each other, you know, the white and the black in America. And this is a heavy process to overcome, very difficult. I think now it's not a problem anymore because it's established that there's equality, no matter what your color. But I grew up in the time when I was a child in the South of America. It was not equality. And there was very much cruelty and suffering that I had to experience, I had to see, you know. But I, as a child, was always saying, no, this is not right. You know, black people, little babies, they're innocent. They have done nothing. And the political views and the aspects of our society is affecting them, and they shouldn't be affected, but they are. And I always said to my grandmother, you know, this is not right. Our church is across the street from a black family, and no black person is allowed to come into church. I didn't understand that.
I can imagine this to me.
They were Protestants, black church, a white church, and they believed in God, and even the way they worship God was kind of disturbing to me, you know, because they were like the holy rollers, you call them in America, who shout and speak in tongues and fall down, and kind of like a trance. Or to me, it was very frightening. I said, what are they doing? She said, well, they're receiving the Spirit of God, and they're not aware of where they are, and they shout and they jump around and they're speaking. And I said, well, what are they speaking? She said, we don't know. Nobody understands it, but apparently they receive the essence of the Holy Spirit, and they're so overwhelmed, they begin speaking in this crazy language and jumping around, which was frightening to me. And I see them fall on the floor and shimmer, and then the people come over and lay their hands on them. Oh, God bless her, sister so-and-so, you know, she's received the Holy Spirit. And then I said, but why can't black people come to our church? We sing beautiful songs, and of course they love music and they like to sing, because the leaders of the church wouldn't allow black people in there. I said, but it's supposed to be God's house, you know? And of course I was only a child. I couldn't speak out because I was 7 years old. What can you do at 7, you know? Just stand by and watch and see what happens. Then I remember going to church one day with my grandmother, and it was very cold, which is unusual for the South in America, Tennessee. This is in Tennessee, Chattanooga. And we were walking to church, and it was cold, and it was raining, and this black people's house was on fire across from the church, and it was burning. And the black lady was running in and bringing her children out, and the animals, pets or whatever they had, from their little dilapidated house.
Had someone committed arson, or how did it come to happen?
I have no idea. I just happened along the road. We were going to church, and I said to my grandma, oh my God, this is terrible. I said, the lady is trying to get her children out and nobody's helping her. This can't be, you know. And so I proceeded to climb over the fence and go in, and she brought out a little baby. And I said, let me hold the baby. And I held the baby and stuck it under my coat from the rain and from the cold. And the lady said, oh, God bless you, honey, thank you, the black lady. And I sat there with this baby under my coat, and my grandma says, we got to go to church. The people are waiting in the church. I said, I don't care. Somebody has to help these people. And my grandmother says, yeah, you're right. And then she had somebody to call the fire department. And the house by then was in flames. And I'm sitting there on the ground, I'm crying, because I'm holding this little baby, and the little baby is frightened. He doesn't know what's going on. And finally, you know, the fire department helped, and they helped. It took the baby away from me. And I went into church, and of course I was late, but my grandmother waited for me. And I didn't understand. I was crying, and the preacher said, what's wrong? I said, my God, these are human beings. And their house is on fire across from the church, and nobody was helping them. I can't understand this. And then I got a lot of criticism, of course, my grandmother's friends in the church and everybody, you know, because I'd helped these people. But I said, it doesn't matter.
But in between, a lot has changed.
Well, over time, yes, of course. Then there came Martin Luther King, who died, and there was a big riot in Chicago, and it was horrible. And of course, it's in my book, a lot of this stuff. The second book, which Angels Don't Cry, which is my biography of my Earth existence here, but it was difficult for me because I didn't have the perception from the people who grew up in this society, and I could not have this hatred or aggression toward a race of people. To me, all human beings are equal, and they're all just as precious, because a soul, I was taught that a soul of any living thing is so precious because it belongs to God. And it was so difficult for me on earth to see the aggression, the anger, the difficulties. I don't have the ability to have these feelings. No aggression, no anger. I'm not an angel. I can become angry if I try to communicate 3 or 4 times and express something to people and they don't listen. You know, like, I need you to do this. You know, this is happening. Can you please help me? After you say it 6 or 7 times, then you have to get very loud with your voice. And I don't like that either. The thing is, a lot of people on earth, they hear what goes on around them, but they don't listen. And they don't really see. and I see and I listen to everything. And if there's a problem, I'm going to do my best to help.
Ja.
That's my way.
Ja.
And I don't often get assistance because the people are so caught up in their own thing and they don't focus and really concentrate on what is going on around them all the time. And this is sort of frustrating, you know, when you're here and you can see and listen and experience everything, and you're trying to work hard to bring harmony and peace, and the other people just don't see it and they don't hear it. Because they're so focused on their individual process, and it's natural. I mean, it's normal when you're concentrating on something that you plan to do, that is your day. And in between, I'm always aware of everything as it happens, every second, every moment. And this distresses people around me because they don't have the same perception.
For us, it really isn't easy to concentrate, to focus ourselves.
Wir müssen uns dafür unheimlich zusammenreißen. Das fällt uns nicht leicht. Und das ist einfach auch,
This is because we haven't learned it in our childhood.
Yeah, I know.
Man muss diese Disziplin von Kindesbeinen an mitkriegen.
Yeah, and I can understand everything from every person very well. I can understand what's going on individually, what they have experienced as a child. And so it's difficult for me because I can see all this and be aware of all this, but to bring it across to other people is very, very difficult.
Ja.
And the workshops are very helpful because the people learn through my perception and my view of everything that happens in this world and in daily life, how that I perceive. So they learn my perception. My perception is what they learn to do. They have a perception as a soul, and from the point of view of someone not from this world or these societies. Although I live here and I'm involved in things that go on, I can't focus on everything that's going on in the world because it's overwhelming and distressing, and I can't play a part in the politics, and I can't go to movements for the poor animals that are abused. I can't be a part of it because I have my own mission. And sometimes people are like, you don't care. Of course I care. I care about everything. But I'm only one human being. And what can I do? I can only do what I can and teach people that love is the most important thing. Respect, love, and understanding.
I think exactly this is the situation here on Earth. To keep the people away from a real understanding, they are confronted with an overflow of junk information. And the yet non-existing ability to focusing gets even more reduced. And from this situation, the established forces profit, because this way you can manipulate people.
Well, you know, there's many different religions and teachings on the earth, and they're very necessary because of the different levels of consciousness, the different cultures, the different teachings. And so they have to be available to people. I cannot say that my teaching is for every person, because it's not. If a person is not developed enough in their consciousness and understanding, this information is going to do them no good whatsoever.
So you can't place the information, that's clear.
No, they have to decide for themselves. And that's what I say, you know. Every human being has a right to choose their spiritual belief, their path, their life, their way. And if you take this information, write it down, stick it in a drawer, it's no good. You have to apply it to your life. And that goes for all information. It's useless unless you use it. And they have to choose their own spiritual path. And I don't say anything against any religion because they're all valuable. They serve their purpose on earth. They reach the individuals. And I can't convince anybody of anything. I can only teach what I know, but I'm not here to prove anything. I'm not here to say, you must believe me. No, they mustn't. They don't have to. They have the free will and the choice. It doesn't hurt me or doesn't change what I am. What I am is what I am, and I can always only be and work from my own perception and love people, and that's all I can do. I cannot make them believe that I'm from another planet, it's egal. Where I was born or where I'm from, it's the message I bring that's important. Not that they have to believe me or they have to see a UFO, no.
They need to develop themselves into this direction.
Exactly.
Zugänglich werden
If
für
they
diese
want more
Dinge.
information, they have to go out and find it.
Naja. Und einige sind eben von
And
der
some
Entwicklung her nicht so weit. Und dann
are not yet so far in their development, so you won't reach anything.
No, because you can't force it.
Ja, man kann es nicht erzwingen.
Then you create aggression, and I don't want to create any aggression.
Ja.
I only want understanding. And people get into debates with me on TV, and they have psychologists to prove that what I am, I'm crazy or whatever. And that's their priority. That's how they create their TV interviews and so on. I don't object. I say I have nothing to hide. And I don't object to any kind of close scrutiny of me or my work, because I have nothing to hide. I'm doing the best I can, and I only teach about love, about God, about the good things in life. I don't teach anything bad. I don't convert people, and I don't say that we're the only truth, because truth comes in many forms. And I can only give my perception and my truth that I've been given to bring here. And my truth is ancient, and there's many religions that sprung out of this truth, and those are truths too, on a different level and concepts. And I can only say, but I appreciate people like you give me the opportunity to reach more people, because I can't reach everybody in the world. I don't have a computer, I don't have a TV station or radio station, and like I said, my money goes to support those I love that need it. When I'm here in this house, the people here receive a lot from me because I'm living here at the moment.
Ja.
And this house was once my house. I established this house. Not my house, but I mean,
In earlier days?
in the beginning, yes, my friends and I rented this house because we were jamming into a small apartment from one or the other, and there wasn't enough room, and we had guests coming from different places, so we had the idea to rent a big house and work together and live there together. That's how it was established. And that's why my sticker is on the window, because my original idea was to have workshops here. But then I couldn't get a visa from the government to work here and to stay here unless I got married. And I had many offers to get married. People were going to marry me, but you know what? They didn't. I had not the right connection to them. I'm not going to marry someone just for a card, because that's not my way.
Ja.
This wouldn't have been a proper way.
No. If I marry someone, it has to be for love.
Ja.
I'm not in it for the money. My whole concepts and perception is different than people on Earth. I will not marry a man to be rich. I will not marry a man to get my insurance, my health. I will not do that to remain in Germany. I could have married Hildegard even. I found out that, the laws in Germany allow that.
It's allowed, ja.
But that would be kind of crazy too.
Naja.
And it would be like, it's like cheating or something to me to do this kind of thing. If I marry a man in Germany, I love him, then if I get my card, fine, I'll live here. Because it is like my second home. But not under pretense of something else. It's not my way. I don't teach that. I teach the truth. And if I can't live by it, then I shouldn't be teaching it.
Ach, ich denke, so zwischen zwei Kulturen pendeln, das hat doch auch was, ne?
Yeah, my children are in America, my grandkids now. I got one son here, but my children are in different states in America, so I was always going back and forth. And when I get there, then it's not easy to see all of them either, because they don't live in one place, They have their own lives and their own choices to make, their families they're creating, but they're my children, always. And I love them, and I always love them. I love every living thing on Earth.
Okay.
Now let us return to the cosmical items, because there is not so often an occasion to ask things to someone coming from Venus.
Ist ja nicht so oft gegeben, dass man jemanden was fragen kann, der halt wirklich aus dem Weltraum und vom Kosmos kommt. Im Buch sind
In your book, I saw these spaceships, and they look much like the ones where even George Adamski tells about.
Raumschiffen, über die auch George Adamski berichtet.
Yeah, that is so.
On the video I have sent to you, you surely have seen this elder gentleman, Mr. Kurt Appelskau, a former lieutenant colonel and member of the Danish Air Force. He's a friend of George Adamski. What do you think about Adamski?
He was the first contact that has been recorded in your history from the 1950s in America. And he was just he wasn't a real astronomer. He did it for a hobby. And then he accidentally spotted one of the ships through his telescope. And he took photos. And then he had the courage to make this public, you know, which takes a lot of courage. Because you got the government, the military, always trying to take these things and protect them or put them somewhere where they're not available to the public. So George Adamski had a lot of courage, and I think this courage, my people realized he had this courage, and so they made a contact to him. And then he became a spokesperson for them, for the Venusian people.
So everything he describes
Was
is
erlebt hat
authentic?
und beschreibt.
Absolutely.
Absolut, ja.
And Orthon was my uncle also, before my uncle Odin.
Ja.
He was from my family on Venus. Yeah.
Oh yes, again this O thing.
Yeah.
Ja, aha.
Orthon.
Ja.
And I don't know what his name means, but yeah, he was one of my uncles too.
Und dann haben wir noch eine Verbindung, und zwar meine ich, dass Orton und andere jetzt auch noch
Isn't
bei
there
diesem...
a connection with Orthon to Giorgio di Bitonto in Italy?
I don't know him so well.
Er hatte auch
He had encounters.
Yeah, I know he's got books, and Wendell Stevens published some books from him. But you know, I don't read so much. I don't have time, and I never read so many books. I read a couple of the paperbacks from George Adamski when I was a teenager, and I was a little bit familiar with some of his books.
Ja.
But I never read many books because I wasn't into UFOs. I came here in a UFO, so there was no reason for me to look for them.
One of the last questions for the end. How does it stand actually with the lunar landing of the Americans? Was all this faked, or did it really happen, like they always would like to make us believe?
The original one that was filmed for television was fake. And then later on, they actually landed on the moon. So there's both, you know, you have the ones they faked because they were in a Cold War or a race against Russia and all this. It's all political again. And of course, since then they've landed on the moon and they discovered that they're not the first ones. And that's true enough. They haven't been the first ones, and they won't be the last ones. And there was a time even when the people on Earth in America, the government, military, had started to build on the moon some kind of colony, and they were kidnapping people in society. And they were using them for an experiment on the moon to see how they could survive in these colonies that they built. And originally the whole idea and concept was for the rich and the elite, the hierarchy, the president, and so on, to live on the moon in case there was a nuclear war.
It was the alternative project?
Ne?
Yes,
Alternative ABC oder was?
Absolutely. But
Okay.
since then, everything is deteriorated, all the buildings are no longer there, there's only structures left, so that's all over.
Die Frage, die Mondlandungen, die tatsächlich geschehen sind die wirklich mit dieser...
The moon landings which have happened, did they really use this Eagle lander? Or did they use one of the crashed alien spaceships?
I don't know, I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't have that much
Gut.
information.
Da noch eine andere Frage. Können Sie uns ein bisschen etwas über die anderen
Can
Planeten...
you tell us anything about the other planet mankind's? What is the difference between Martians and Saturnians? What information is available?
Well, I know that they came to the Earth after the Earth was here, And after all the beauty was here and it was organized so that it would function, and they colonized the Earth, the 4 planets. And they set up colonies, Atlantis, Lemuria, and the Egyptians, the Mayans. All of this is the forefathers of the races that are now on Earth. And these beings originally was the ones on Mars, Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter. And they came to this system long ago from their own individual galaxies under the direction that they were to bring human being and human life to this solar system. And since then they've been living on the Earth, and many things have passed and taken place, and they've all forgotten their forefathers and the richness and the heritage of each individual race. Has its own genetic system, and of course it's not the same as it was in the beginning, because they intermingle and they intermarry, so there is hardly any pure races left on Earth. The Venusians, they come here from another planet, they come into society, but their ancestors on Earth are no longer pure Venusian either anymore. Because you have to see that the whole Earth has got so many different cultures within cultures.
Yeah.
And it's so diverse and so difficult to find the origin.
Yeah.
And this is all I do, is bring this information to people and make them aware that their forefathers and the original races came from other planets within this solar system, and before that other galaxies, to this system, and live on Earth today in our societies. But not the original races that they were. And that's what my mission is, to bring this information back to people.
Okay, ja, dann ist jetzt die
Now the very last question. Do you have to stay here on Earth until your bitter end? Or will you be taken away to Venus by Uncle Odin or whomsoever, as an aged old lady shortly before the day you have to die?
No.
Nein.
My decision was that this would be my home after I came here, and my physical body would die on Earth. And what happens after I die to my body, I don't really care. It's up to my family on Earth, my Uncle Odin, and what they decide is best, because it doesn't really matter when I leave the physical body. After it's gone, I really don't care what happens.
Man sollte meinen, Astralebene ist Astralebene.
One should think astral plane is astral plane. So there's no way to get from one astral plane to the other?
No. After this life is over, because I've done spiritual work and everything, my soul will exist on another dimension, even higher than the astral. And what I choose to do from then on, because I don't have to come back to the physical, my cycles in the physical are finished, and this is my very last existence in the physical world. And that's why it's so difficult for me here, because everything that I have to, all the loose ends I have to wrap up, has to be done now. So my life is a little bit hectic, and unexpectedly kind of strange things happen around me. And I have the ability with my energy to speed up the karma of people around me. And it sometimes is a little chaotic, because it would happen to them anyway and eventually, but when they're around me, it's like everything happens faster.
So everything gets accelerated?
So it becomes a little bit chaotic around me. But everybody's got used to it. They know it. They know me. Everything doesn't function around me like it should. I can go grocery shopping and electronics go a little bit strange. So my life is always an adventure.
So you could have a harmful effect to electrical devices?
Hopefully your cameras and everything.
Yes, we hope. Afterwards, we will see if it has worked. And now I thank you very much for this interview. You still wanted to give a greeting to our viewers.
With pleasure. And it was wonderful working with the both of you, and thank you for taking your time, because to be around me takes a lot of good tools, and you have to be very flexible. And I've learned that being on Earth, that you have to be prepared for anything and not become aggressive or frustrated. Just relax and do what you can do. This Venusian greeting is a mixture of Sanskrit and Lemurian language on Earth. because we don't have a spoken language on Venus. So I've created a language that were the oldest languages.
Ja.
And it means, may the universal love and blessings be. Amul Abaktu Barakavashad. Thank you.